Dallas. Good morning. Thank you for joining us for another episode here. I have Christopher on my show today. How are you, sir?
All good. How you doing?
Doing wonderful. It's a pleasure to have you here. I know we were talking behind the scenes just for a few
Mm,
minutes and I feel like we have a lot to talk about today. So
yes,
for all of the viewers out there, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your organization that you have going on?
absolutely. I'm Christopher Henson. I am a community influencer, mental health and wellness advocate, and a whole safe spaces for mainly men, but just people in period to come through, vent, express themselves, and find solutions to the issues that they're dealing with. I'm big about community. I'm big about people coming together, finding positive outlets to just release, get better, things like that. And I really feel like we can invoke change when it comes to just having conversation. So when we talk, when we speak, when we interact with each other in a safe space and, just let community flow and let conversation flow, it's a healing aspect in all of that. Like it's therapeutic. I know with a lot of people, mainly men, the brothers or then some men don't really feel like going to a therapist, but I feel like once we have a conversation with each other, host a safe space, it's therapeutic just to talk things out. If you're sad, come in. We can get you happy. We can get you whole. We can get you healed. All of that good stuff. It's healing in conversation. So that's my thought on all of that.
And I love all of that you just spoke about. But the one thing that really stands out to me is mental health awareness in men. Because this is one of the topics I've touched on before with a couple of my guests, but we never really went into depth. And since you're so passionate about it and advocating for men's mental health and mental health in general, I feel like you're the perfect guest for this. So, we've talked whenever I talked to my podcast before, it was said that a lot of men have a mentality or they've been taught to be tough. They have this
Mhm.
image that they need to keep up with, that if they feel like they speak out about their feelings, as far as like their mental health or their emotions or something, that's gonna make them feel weak or not manly enough because let's just be honest, like generational trauma is there, and the old generation had taught people to be tough. Don't talk about it. People don't need to know your business. So I want to emphasize on why we need to change that, why men needs to change that mentality.
Truthfully, listen, it's a strength in self-control. It's a strength in being able to harness those emotions, those feelings, and actually expressing. That's actually true strength. That's actually, if I dare say, that's actually true manhood and maturity to be able to, be aware of what's going on with you and then actually expressing those feelings to someone or, just doing it in a positive fashion or whatever. It's the complete opposite. When you holding stuff in, when you're, isolating yourself or whatever, that's actually weakness right there. That's what make a person weak. You become strong when you voice your opinion in a healthy manner. You become
Mhm.
strong when you voice what's going on with you. You become strong when you get the weight off of your chest. That's actually true strength. Um, and not to, bash on, what took place in the past. Unfortunately, our elders and those that came before us, they did the best that they could. You know what I mean? They didn't know too much about trauma. We're so advanced right now in 2025. We're learning, we're healing, we're reading, we're learning new stuff. And so, they didn't know too much back then, but we know now. And so we're unlearning and undoing a lot of that. I guess you can say, I don't want to call it false teaching, but I guess the wrong way of doing things. And so
Mhm.
now we're in a place of doing it right. So that's what I would say. It's not it's strength in actually communicating and voicing like what's going on up here and what's going on in here and getting it off your chest. That's true strength.
That it, and I do agree with that too because it's kind of one of those things. Me and my husband, we kind of talked about these things before, but we have a true understanding with each other because he will tell me whenever he feels some kind of way. And I told him, I said, I appreciate it when you come to me and you tell me how you're feeling instead of me having to play guessing games. Um, and I feel like we built a stronger bond
Mhm.
through expressing our emotions, and I feel like it helps us become a better couple overall. You know, because I tell him my feelings, and you know, women are emotional. We're emotional creatures. We handle you know, a lot of things that men don't normally handle. So we have all this hardwire. Or
Yeah,
they say
yeah.
that the women's mind and the way that our nervous system works and stuff is that it's compared to like a electrical box full of a whole bunch of wires. You know, they're all going to different places. You know, mentally we're having to handle like taking care of the kids, the home, the job, coming home, take care of our husband, try to make sure that the house is in order, but also trying to maintain our self-care and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of men are, I'm just saying, a lot of men are wired to not really think about all those things. They're thinking about paying the bills, coming home, going to work, getting up, providing for their family. So it's kind of like we're
Hmm.
wired different, but I feel like when we start bridging that understanding for emotions and opening up a positive communication, I feel like change happens. And you did say something too that speaking about your emotions, but in a positive sense. There are a lot of people who speak emotions out of anger, frustration, misunderstanding, and I want to kind of talk on that, talking positive about your emotions. Can you explain why being so positive about communicating your emotions would help someone out?
Absolutely. But before we get into that, you kind of you said something that was very enlightening about your relationship with your husband. You created a safe space, and I feel like a lot of men they hold back because they don't have someone that they can trust. And on the flip side, I'm just speaking this for someone who's out there that's listening, and you're curious to why your husband, your brother, male friend, or whatever is holding back is because you 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 have to create a safe space. You have to be trustworthy. And when the man see that they can trust you with their feelings, they'll be more willing to open up. And also, men do have to. We have to normalize that, brothers. Men, it's okay to like take care of yourself, go to the beach, go, get a massage, go with the fellas and go play basketball or something like that, take a trip or whatever the case may be, and just get the world's pressure off of your shoulders for just a sec, man. We got to normalize that. It was super big. That made me smile. I got excited when you spoke about that, what the women do. And men, all we do is just go to work, pay the bills, and we just have this chaotic routine, this cycle, day in and day out of just waking up, going to work, and coming back home and doing that same thing over and over. That creates a chaotic atmosphere on the inside. But the positivity piece, I'm someone who dealt with suicidal thoughts and depression. And
Mhm.
mine came, for the most part, mine came after my grandparents passed away, and also my pup, and also a close friend. It was just so much. And God was like, "Yo, son, you're about to go off the cliff. Like your mindset, you're so far gone. You're about to jump off of this bridge, and I need for
Mhm.
you to come back in." And after that quick conversation with God, um, one of the things that God told me to do was just speak life over myself. Affirmations, like seriously speak positivity over myself, like have a mindset of positive thoughts. And the way our reality is shapes, it first starts up here. So if everything up here is chaotic, negative, depressed, dark, cloudy, everything on the outside, our reality is going to become that. But
Mhm.
just like, if it's negative up here, you create a garden, a mindset of positivity, everything on the outside will become positive. People laugh and kind of mock at affirmations and thinking positive, but it is true. Our thoughts shape our reality. And if our
Mhm.
if our thoughts are positive, our reality becomes positive. If our
Mhm.
thoughts are light and pure, everything around us becomes light and pure.
Mhm.
So that's the power of being positive, man. Like it breathes and push off an energy that not only empowers you, but it also empowers everybody else that's around you. That quote that says, be the change you want to see is true. Like if you want to see a greater community, a community that's positive, a community that's full of light and love and goodness, you really have to
Mhm.
become that. And it first starts with the mindset. Once the mindset is beginning to become pure, full of light, is positive, you begin to push that off and impact, so many other people in the process of that.
Oh man, you were talking about mindset. And again, me and my husband, we were having this conversation. We are
So
actually
awesome.
having this conversation with our kids.
Mhm.
Because we have adult children. And just being candid here, we have adult children that struggle with the positive mindset. They're always thinking negative. They're always thinking, that they can't do something. And, we've been coaching them and talking to them, you got to change your mindset. I was like, what a man thinks, whatever a man thinketh, he is.
Mhm.
And it says that in
Mhm.
the Bible in Proverbs. So I know for a fact that whatever you think is what you're going to start manifesting in your thoughts. So you start thinking you're a loser, you're going to start acting like one. If you start thinking that you can't do something, you're going to not have the will to want to do it anymore because you're already defeating yourself. So thinking positive, and I second that. Thinking positive really changes everything. There's a spiritual shift, there's a mental shift. You start relying less on the negativity and start seeing what you
Mhm.
can do because it's real. It's absolutely real. And I had also struggled before, with, depression and, suicidal thoughts. I know a lot of people don't know that about me, but I
Mm.
had dealt with it, but I did talk with my husband. Like when I was married, but I was married to the wrong person who didn't appreciate me. So I was married and I had children, but I still was a single mom that was married, if that makes sense to
Yeah,
some people
I'll
out
follow
there.
you. We get
And
you.
so I felt defeated. I felt like I didn't have any help. I didn't, when my kids got older and became teenagers, they focused less on what mom needed and focused less on our relationship and more on their friends. And I started feeling like it was to a point where I was like, well, if they're not acknowledging me, like my husband doesn't want me, my kids don't want me, having trouble with, work and all that kind of stuff. I was like, if
Mm.
I'm going through all this kind of stuff, why am I here? You know? And I talked to my husband, but my husband now, thank God God sent him. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I talked to him about this because we go deep in our conversation, especially now. It's like God is renewing our relationship. Um, and I told him, I said, I was at that point where I was just like, I don't want to be here. Like, nobody's gonna miss me if I'm gone, like, that kind of stuff. But I never took the initiative to do anything. Like, I knew God still had
Mm.
a purpose for me. I knew that I was created to do something stronger, and I needed
Yeah.
to not listen to that mindset. And it was real and it was dark. It was a deep time for me. But I told myself I need to get back in church. I needed to be surrounding myself with what God wanted me to do, which was these kids have no one else but me.
Mhm.
So if I'm gone, who's going to take care of my kids? And at that point, we didn't have anyone. Even my husband at the time was not the person to take care of my kids. So, it changed my mindset. When I started changing that mindset, I mean, my whole life changed. I started seeing that my kids are my purpose,
Yeah.
that I need to be there, that God has something bigger for me. And it's health is a big topic.
Yeah.
It
Oh man,
really
I
is.
love it. I love it. Greatness is all upon you, man. It really is, Rachel. Phenomenal work that you're doing. It's like greatness just flows out of you, man. Just the excitement, the energy is definitely there. The spirit is there. I'm in life coach mode. I'm listening to you talk. So if you see me kind of like look down, I'm jotting down like a timestamp. I'm like, oh my God, that was so good. I'm listening to you and you're talking about, about how this person isn't going to miss you. This person ain't going to be thinking about you. That's the trick that the enemy plays on so many of us, man. And
Mhm.
that mindset, it takes us into a place of devalue. You know what I mean? It's like, no, like you said, God has a purpose for you. God has a purpose for all of us. But when we get into that space of, people aren't going to miss me, people don't love me. No, people do love you. People do
Mhm.
care. The enemy just he blinds your eyes and your mindset of thinking that no one out there cares for you. And it's the complete opposite. And we gotta like pull those scales back and see that it's a whole community out here that like cherish us as
Mhm.
individuals, man. And imagine it's so many people that's attached to you and your purpose. Imagine if you took yourself out. This little girl is going to miss the testimony that you have to give. This little
Oh.
boy is going to miss the story and the empowerment that you have. This grown man, this husband that's battling suicide, he needs to hear from you. Same thing with the
Mhm.
women. You feel me?
Mhm.
So yeah, no, we got it. This is the importance of having the right mindset for real.
Absolutely. And was actually talking with Bree from Empower Up about walking in your purpose.
Mhm.
And I'm walking and breathing. I'm living that purpose right now. Like I said, I've been through a lot. There's a lot more to my story, but that was just like a portion of what I've been through. But I was telling her that I mean, the devil wants to stop someone who has a big purpose in this world. He
Mhm.
wants to stop that person. He wants to keep them from fulfilling God's purpose in their life because he knows that that person has a powerful testimony.
Yeah.
And I was, when I was talking to her about it, I was like, gosh, you imagine how many times the devil has tried to stop me from talking about my
Mhm.
story? Like,
Mhm.
stopping me from telling other women that they are valuable, that they are cherished, that they don't need the opinion of a man to make them feel valued, that God
Yeah.
values them. Like,
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
yeah.
That's
And
good.
I was like, I said my struggles, 'cause I could have basically like let my struggles defeat me. And I told myself like later on in life, I was like, you know what? There's some girl out there who's been a mom who has 4 kids, who struggled to do it on her own, who really is watching me on how I'm going to handle my story.
Mhm.
So, watching me like on social media, they may be silently watching, like
Yeah.
maybe in the stories, or they're watching my feed and they're trying to see how I react to my emotions. So, if I can inspire her to keep her walk going, then that is my purpose. My journey is her story that she needs to see. And I was
That's
like,
it.
I'm gonna keep being a light. Like I know that I've been through a lot of things, but I'm gonna keep being that light that that girl is watching. I'm just as long as she sees that God's got me, I'm okay with that.
I love it. Phenomenal, phenomenal. That's it. We're created to influence. At the end of the
Hmm.
day, man, we all God has placed that gift in all of us, man. We're created to influence. We're created to make an impact on those that are close to us and those that are like you said, far off in the story somewhere in the background looking. We making an influence on the people, man, a positive influence, man. I love
Hmm.
it.
Absolutely. And, I want to kind of get a little bit more into your organization. So, Created
Mhm.
to Influence, how can someone reach out to you for your services?
Yes, created to the
Mhm.
number two influence.com. You can pull me up, check out the website, send me an email. Christopher Henson at Facebook. Hit me up with a DM. The Instagram is life coach underscore Chris on IG, and then LinkedIn, same thing as the Facebook page, Christopher Henson. Um, I'm doing phenomenal work. We're doing phenomenal work. I got some great people that are supporting me and pushing me. We just had a event this past weekend, a mental health event, just bringing people in and discussing stress and rage. Excuse me. We discussed stress and rage over the weekend. So it was great. It was great. So we're doing good work out here. Um, I just have the mindset of when people are whole and healthy, it creates a better family and it creates a better community in general. And it's all through conversation and getting
Mhm.
clarity through it all, man. We bring change through conversation, and it's phenomenal, man.
Absolutely. I love all of that. Everything that you're offering to the community because I feel like whenever people have these resources at their hands, they don't feel like they're doing it alone anymore.
Hmm.
So I do want to invite you out to our nonprofit expo that we have on September 6th. Because I feel like it's necessary for men and also people who need mental health resources to reach out to you for everything that you're doing. You said rage. You did the event about rage, and I was just like, wow, just thinking about how many people are experiencing that in life right now, that they
Yeah.
don't have that centerpiece, that positive, what's the word, positive outlet for their
Hmm.
emotions.
Hmm.
Wow, Lee, that's a hard topic.
It it was. I'm not gonna lie. I was sweating a few bullets while I was up there
Mhm.
talking about it. But no, overall it was great. It was a much needed topic. You know, given everything that's taking place in our climate, our communities, the world. So many people is watching social media, news, media, period, and taking in so much negativity, dealing with a lot of knuckleheads out here, um, face to face. And again, like you said, it's no positive outlet to just release, and so I was super grateful just to be that pillar in the community where people could just release and get clarity, man. But yeah, I'm definitely down for September 6th. I got to check you all out and support. I love what you're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We always appreciate the support here at What's Up Dallas. I've been so passionate about community understanding that there are positive people in here that are actually there to help them. And I think that's my driving force for what I'm doing right now because I find healing in connecting people.
Mm,
And I used to be an introvert, Chris. Just kind of putting it out there. I used to be an introvert.
that's
Ask my husband. Uh, I told my husband, I said, I need to get out there. I need to do something. I need to do something that's going to be changing lives. And I prayed about it. I asked God to give me the strength because I used to be that girl who would just hide in the corner, just go home and watch Netflix with my puppies on my lap because that was my life. I mean,
yeah,
that's all I really wanted because people hurt me so much that I didn't really want to talk to people. So, which is a powerful statement in itself to
it
see
is.
where I was to where I'm at now
Mm,
is like a whole spiritual shift for me. This is like, if you had met me a couple years ago, you'd be like, Rachel, like, what are you going through, girl? Like, I don't know what's going on, but I know you've been hurt. Like, you would
yeah,
definitely know that
yeah,
you see it.
yeah. No, listen, we have similar stories, man. Listen, I tell people I'm actually an introvert at heart. Although I get up and I speak and I talk, just like you, I mean, it's by God's grace, for real.
Mhm.
Like real talk and just that driving force of have a purpose. And so when I
Mhm.
wake up, like that's what like motivates me to get out here and do what I gotta do. So I completely understand, man. When you have purpose, nothing's going to stop you. So kudos to you. What's up, Dallas Magazine? Fantastic stuff. You killing it over there. I love what's going on, man. I love it. I really do.
Thank you. I will take all of that, as a blessing. I just, I really want to kind of talk about a little segment. We have a little segment on my show because we do have some youth that watch my show. We have young
Okay.
adults that watch my show. So through your life journey, you've learned stuff and were given advice to help you along. So for our young viewers out there, could you share a piece of advice that would help them on their journey?
I love it. What I didn't mention is I am a Dallas native, but I moved from the DFW area like 8, 9 years ago. And so I'm in Boston, Massachusetts at the moment. Um, Fantastic story, but I'm not going to get into that. But what I will say is that the advice that I have to give for youth is to get out there and explore. Like get out of your comfort zone, remove yourself from your comfort zone and go explore. Comfort zones keep you in a place of stagnation. It keeps you just in one place. And for me, when I got up and uprooted from Dallas and moved around, I really didn't discover myself until I came up here to Boston. And so it's power in that, and going to a different place and being planted there and learning of yourself. Sometimes when we're in the same environment for too long, we don't grow anymore. And so when you move around, when you uproot and you move around and you become a blessing somewhere else, you see your potential, you see your growth, you see the real you. And so although I love Dallas, I didn't become the man that I am today until I moved to Boston. So I would get that's the advice I have for the youth is to get out of your comfort zone, move around, go explore, learn some new things and grow.
That's solid advice. And I,
Yeah.
I do want to kind of piggyback off of that because you said something very, what's the word? Very strong in that statement. If you stay in your same situation, you're not going to
Mhm.
grow.
Yeah.
And that is so powerful in itself. Because let's talk about people being comfortable where they
Hmm.
are, where they're not just stuck, they're just comfortable. Okay, so I know a lot of people out there, they're capable of doing so much more in their life, but they don't want to push themselves, they don't want to talk about it. And this kind of goes into you can't grow until you start stretching yourself to your limits. It's
Hmm.
almost like bodybuilding. We'll just put it
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Through discipline, training, consistency, um, knowing that you're going to stretch those muscles because you're using them. Your spiritual muscles are that too, and your physical muscles are that. You have to discipline yourself to grow. And if you stay where you are, you're never going to know how strong you are.
Hmm.
And golly, like this interview is like, thank you.
I'm glad you loving it. I am too, man. It is good.
It is so good. I'm just seeing all these things that, and God is telling me that you and I have connected because He wanted us to connect.
Hmm.
Um, I support everything you're doing. I love that you are, have this organization created to influence. You're empowering people through mental health and awareness, and which is very powerful in itself. But I was like, God connected us for a reason. So I don't think this is the last time we're going to interview.
Yeah, listen, I'm here to stay, man. We family now. I'm locked in. I'm locked
We
in. We're
are.
good.
The support is real. The support is real, even from Boston, Massachusetts.
There you go. Absolutely. Listen, you touching all over the place.
Well, God is just flowing through me.
Mm,
Sometimes I have to tell you because, like I said, me and my husband, we have this really positive relationship. It's more like an understanding that we need each other in our lives.
yeah.
Because you can have people that are married and they feel obligated.
Mm,
Uh, my
that's good.
husband, my husband and I, we don't feel obligated to be together. We feel like God put us together to help each other grow. And that's a lot more of a deeper understanding, especially now, because if we could tell you what God had God has done in the course of the past couple months, my husband and I we almost split because the devil
Mm,
was putting a wedge in the smallest crack of our relationship,
yeah.
insecurities, finances, monies, things like
Yeah.
that. And I was doing an illustration for my husband, and I told him that um, the devil is constantly looking for the smallest crack in a godly relationship. And then he's going to get this small wedge and he's going to keep hammering it until it makes a bigger crack. And then he's going to get a bigger wedge and continue to hammer that. So eventually you're going to have a fault line. Um, and then the relationship is not bound on Christ. You're more bound on, pride and stress and frustration. I'm going to preach it. I'm going to preach it right now.
Yeah. Oh, listen, you took the words. I'm like, yo, we having good church this Wednesday morning. Yeah, afternoon. I love it, man. Go ahead. You're good. You're good.
But if I could tell you that over the course of the past couple months, me and my husband have been talking about this division between us that we were both feeling the same kind of way, but we didn't really talk about it. He
Hmm.
wanted me to be with him to support him on what he was doing at church, and I wanted him to be with me and support me on my events with What's Up Dallas. But God gave us both separate things to do, but we're supposed to support each other in the
Yeah.
journeys. So I support him now with what he's doing with the church. And he supports me now with What's Up Dallas because we both understand that God is greater
Yeah.
than both of us together.
Yeah.
So Um,
Amen.
we have that healing and understanding. And I told my husband something, and he's like, wow, that's deep. Okay, the problem between marriages and spouses fighting is not the spouse themselves, it's the problem between you.
Yeah.
And if you continue to fight against your spouse, you're going to be distracted from what God has given you as a couple.
Mm,
So the thing you need to focus on, and for all those married people out there that are watching this, you need to focus on fixing the problem between you
yeah.
and not focus more on the person that God gave you.
Yeah.
Um,
I
Gosh,
love it.
that's so deep.
That's good. That's also that's great info. So tackle the problem, not the person.
hmm
I love it. That
Exactly.
was good, Rachel. That was good.
The problem is never your spouse. It's what's in between you, the pride, the time, the money, the situation, like things,
Mm,
the communication. That is where I think a lot of marriages go wrong. Is they're like, well, he never spends time with me. He never does this. He never does that. But you keep focused on the things that he never does, but you're not appreciating the things that he does do. Like,
mm,
he provides for you. I told my girls this before they got married and stuff. You're either gonna have a hardworking man who's gonna provide for the family and less time at home, or
yeah.
you're gonna have somebody who's always at home who's never providing. That is,
Hmm.
you can't
That's
have
real.
both. You can't have both. So you need to figure out which one you really want to appreciate more. You want somebody who's going to be hardworking because you got to make sacrifices with that. And sometimes sacrifice is time together.
I
But
love it.
we have started doing a weekly couples date. Like we spend time, whether it's a walk in the park or a quick meal or something, and we read scripture together. So it's God is healing us
Yeah,
from.
I love this.
And you're the first person I'm talking to about this. I know my husband's probably talked to our pastor about it, but I just saying I don't really talk to a lot of people about the struggles that we're going through as a marriage
Mhm.
couple, but maybe I should. Maybe I should.
It's yeah. Listen, you laid down a lot of great gems, and I agree with you. There are some married people out there that need to know the real deal about marriage, and even those that are looking to get married. And the tips that you gave, listen, the enemy is going to try his tricks, but at the same time, like you said, you guys' main problem was the support factor. And
Mhm,
when you guys expressed what was going on, you guys communicated. Boom. Now it's like, okay, now I see what's going on with you. You see what's going on with the husband. We communicated, we talked it out. Now let's go ahead and find a solution to the problems that are on the table. And you guys did that and pushed the ego out the way as well. Like I said, the pride. That's one of the
mhm.
major downfalls to a lot of marriages is ego and pride and lack of communication. And you
Yeah,
nailed every single one of those right there. So yeah, now listen, if God is leading you to do it, listen, my advice, go ahead and follow through. Marriages need
abs
to hear this. People that are married need to hear this information.
absolutely. So I feel like this interview, like I'm interviewing you, but I feel like we're kind of like
I know I
mixed.
thought that too, like we're flip flopping. Also, it's incredible, man. Because normally I'm on the opposite end, but listen, we're doing it, man. This is tight. This is good stuff, man.
Well, when the spirit is there, the spirit's going to do what the spirit does. So that's why I love
Absolutely.
this platform. It's like I don't script anything. Everything is literally genuine, real, raw
Mhm.
conversation. Yeah, I just let the spirit do his thing.
I love it. And that's the best way to flow. That is the best way to flow. I love it, man.
Absolutely. So I really enjoyed this conversation. For all of our viewers out there, we dropped a lot of nuggets during this interview. So y'all really need to be sharing this with someone else that needs to hear it as well. So thank you, Chris, for being on my show.
Yeah, it was a
I
pleasure.
really
Thank you so much, Rachel.
absolutely. And we're going to be supporting each other. We're going to keep it 100% because we got to stay strong in the community. So for all of our viewers, one more time, you tell them all your social media.
Yes, created to influence, created with the number two influence .com. That's the website, created to influence at gmail.com as well. If you guys want to hit me on the email, Facebook is Christopher Henson, LinkedIn is Christopher Henson also, and then Instagram is life coach underscore Chris. You guys get at me, man. I'm all about community, all about seeing everyone just walking in purpose and, just being in a place of healing and wholeness, man, so our families and communities can be better. I got y'all.
Absolutely. And y'all, please always go support What's Up Dallas Magazine all over social media, bringing positivity straight to you. All right. See you next time.
Peace.